Coming up on this Friday edition of Daybreak, in what seems to be a conciliatory gesture, North Korea says it will release 6 South Korean detainees. Pyongyang will also allow South Korean lawmakers cross the border to the joint Kaesong factory zone during a parliamentary audit. The Korean won strengthens, hitting the year's highest mark and forcing financial authorities to intervene, including dollar purchases. The won ended the day at 1,061 won against the US dollar. Plus, Washington's surveillance activity dominates talks at the EU Leaders Summit in Brussels, where German Chancellor Angela Merkel, whose mobile phone was allegedly tapped by the US, says spying among friends is not at all acceptable. Daybreak begins now. You're watching Daybreak on Friday, October 25th, and I'm Choi Yusun in Seoul. 6 South Koreans are expected to cross the border at Panmunjom this Friday after having been detained in North Korea. Seoul's Unification Ministry says the North Korean Red Cross sent an official letter of confirmation on Thursday afternoon. The identities of the detainees and whether they voluntarily crossed the border to the north in the first place are not yet known. Officials at the ministry presume that the group includes 4 South Koreans who were reported to have been detained in the north since 2010. The North's official Korean Central News Agency had reported that authorities were investigating 4 South Koreans in February of 2010 for having entered the country illegally. The South Korean government plans to question the 6 detainees once they return. North Korea has also agreed to allow South Korean lawmakers sitting on a parliamentary unification committee to visit the Kaesong industrial complex next Wednesday. The planned visit marks the first time a parliamentary committee will enter the Inter-Korean Business Park, while the South Korean National Assembly is conducting its annual audit of government affairs. Committee members from both political parties welcomed Pyongyang's decision and have begun drawing up their schedule of events for next week's visit. The lawmakers plan to meet with representatives of the South Korean businesses operating at the park to hear about any difficulties they faced and tour the facilities. Some lawmakers have characterized the gesture as an indirect expression of Pyongyang's desire to improve relations with Seoul. North Korea and its nuclear program are topping the agenda for South Korea's presidential national security advisor Kim Jongsoo, who is currently in Washington for talks on bilateral security issues. Speaking to reporters on Thursday, he said that the issues surrounding North Korea are more important than Seoul's request to delay the transfer of wartime operational control from the U.S. to South Korea. He also said that the 6-party talks on denuclearizing North Korea will only resume if Pyongyang demonstrates it is serious about ending its nuclear program. Kim's talks with his U.S. counterpart Susan Rice just ended, and the two are said to have agreed to fully cooperate so that the upcon transfer issue can be resolved within the first half of next year. Moving on to the nation's political front, the Parliament's Welfare Committee conducted an audit of the National Pension Service on Thursday. Our correspondent Kim Hyun-ji reports on the investigation into the government's plan to modify the nation's pension system and the lingering questions retirees have about their financial future.
At Thursday's audit of the National Pension Service, most opposition lawmakers expressed concern about the growing number of people withdrawing from the national pension program since last month. The program is compulsory for all Korean nationals with declared incomes, while those without incomes, such as students or housewives, can voluntarily subscribe to it. Since 2008, the total number of voluntary subscribers has been on the rise, standing at a little over 200,000 in December last year. The number of average voluntary withdrawals per day for the past 5 years had been 82, but the figure went up to 365 from September 25th through October 10th. The government announced on September 25th that it would provide differing basic pension amounts to senior citizens according to the length of their subscription into the national pension. Most of the people withdrawing said they are worried that they may receive a smaller payout of basic pension if they continued subscribing to the national pension for a longer period. Opposition lawmakers argued that this was a reflection of people's eroding trust in the National Pension Service, which since its founding in 1987 has built up its image as a financial safeguard for a rapidly aging society. However, ruling party lawmakers argued that just 20,000 of the current 180,000 voluntary subscribers are expected to drop out of the program within the year, which they say shows that the public angst will eventually pass. Opposition lawmakers pointed out that only about 50,000 people are expected to newly subscribe to the pension program by the year's end, which is half of the number of new subscriptions last year. However, ruling party lawmakers argued that connecting the basic old age pension, a complementary system for senior citizens, to the national pension program is the right step to ensuring the long-term sustainability of the national pension. But opposition lawmakers say linking the two threatens the very soundness of the national pension program that is worth $380 billion. 김현지, Arirang News.
If you want the latest news from Korea and around the world.
Return to the negotiation.
President Park Geun-hye planned, given the current circumstances.
On your way to work or at home.
Defense Ministry. The legislature will convene a.
Tune into Daybreak on Arirang TV.
Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said Tuesday.
The Korean won continued its rise against the greenback on Thursday, reaching the highest level of the year at one point. However, the trend changed course at the closing bell following news of intervention by authorities. Our Hwang Ji-hye has the details.
The Korean won strengthened against the greenback to 1,054.3 won during trading in the afternoon session on Thursday, its highest level so far this year. This comes amid a weakening U.S. dollar prompted by the Federal Reserve's decision to delay its tapering of stimulus measures and foreign investors stampeding into the Korean stock market. The won's rise, however, was overturned on Thursday right after foreign exchange authorities warned about speculation with the Korean currency. Officials from the Ministry of Strategy and Finance and the Bank of Korea said that the local currency is strengthening too quickly and by too much. The authorities added that they are closely monitoring the financial markets and that they will take action if necessary. The warning led the local currency to close at 1,061 won against the dollar, down 5.2 won from Wednesday's close. Korea's won has been under upward pressure against the greenback, with the local currency appreciating about 1% so far this year. A strong won is known to have a negative impact on local exporters as the won's gain erodes their price competitiveness. Hwang Ji-hye, Arirang News.
Hyundai Motor has released its third quarter earnings report, which has the world's fifth automaker posting its first on-year profit rise of the year. While sales were down at home and in the U.S., Hyundai made fresh inroads into China and Brazil. Our Polly explains.
Korea's top auto manufacturer Hyundai Motor Company beat market expectations in its latest earnings call by posting more than $2 billion in net income for this past quarter. It's a small but welcome victory for the local auto company, as it earned its first quarterly net profit of this year following sluggish domestic demand and drawn-out disputes with union workers. In its regulatory filing Thursday, Hyundai Motor said it earned $2.1 billion in net profit during the July to September period. But when comparing its performance from last year, Hyundai has been suffering from declining to sluggish growth. A sharp fall of 15% in on-year growth in the first quarter weighed heavily on the Seoul-based company that's been facing mounting challenges this past year. The company estimates it lost over 50,000 vehicles due to halted production during a 3-week union strike here in Korea. In addition, Japanese competitors such as Toyota have been chipping away at Hyundai Motor's market share in the U.S. due to a weakened yen. Nevertheless, worldwide sales increased 6% on year to $19.6 billion. The company attributes the boost to increased shipments to China and record sales in Brazil after production began there a year ago. Deputy Chief Financial Officer Kim Yong-tae says production will continue to stabilize and climb with the expansion of its third plant in China. Speaking at a conference call Thursday, Kim expects production to reach over 4.7 million units by the end of this year. Hyundai Motor predicts that the global auto industry will grow through next year, with annual sales peaking at 83.6 million worldwide. Paul Yi, Arirang News.
Koreans could see their public utility bills go up over the next 5 years as major state-run enterprises push to resolve their snowballing debt problems with fee hikes. According to a plan submitted by the Finance Ministry to Parliament on Thursday, 41 major public enterprises have come up with measures to lower their debt ratios by 2017, which could soar to as high as 280% if no action is taken. The Korea Expressway Corporation plans to reduce exemption programs for expressway fares, while the Korea Electric Power Corporation is planning an annual electricity fee hike. The Korea Water Resources Corporation is also seeking to increase tap water charges. Critics say, however, the struggling enterprises are merely seeking an easy escape from a problem caused by their own lax management. The growing trend among Koreans of delaying marriage is having an effect on the number of newborn babies in the country. Statistics Korea said earlier this week that around 36,000 babies were born in August, down more than 11% from the same period a year ago. That's the 8th straight month of decline. A statistics official attributed the figures to a drop in marriage numbers last year, but added that a recent rise in marriage rates could eventually reverse the trend. The number of marriages in August stood at around 25,000, up nearly 5% from a year earlier. Contrary to Tokyo's insistence on the validity of the Sea of Japan as the name for the water between Korea and Japan, a Japanese map from the 19th century refers to the sea as the Joseon Sea. Joseon is the name of the dynasty that ruled the Korean peninsula during that period. The National Archives of Korea said Thursday the map is yet another example that Japan's current naming of the sea is an imperialistic legacy. Seoul calls the body of water the East Sea. Japan registered its version with the International Hydrographic Organization back in the 1920s when Korea was under Japan's colonial rule. European Union leaders arriving to Brussels on Thursday for a two-day leaders' summit are condemning the U.S. for its alleged spying on their citizens and officials. This following the latest reports that the U.S. tapped the mobile phone of German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Several EU leaders have demanded that Washington explain allegations that the U.S. National Security Agency has been spying on citizens and officials in Italy, France, and now Germany. Chancellor Merkel has accused the U.S. of an unacceptable breach of trust for allegedly tapping her mobile phone. She also suggested that current data sharing agreements with Washington may need to be revised. The U.S. spying allegations are now set to top the agenda at the summit, which will also tackle social and economic issues. Time now to check Reuters to see what other stories are making headlines around the world.
A plane fighting fires in the Australian state of New South Wales crashes, killing its pilot. The plane was dousing water in bushland just south of Sydney. The accident comes as the military faces criticism for starting one of the major fires. The fire service says an investigation has found the fire was ignited by live ordnance.
The fire investigation was conducted. We worked in concert with New South Wales Police. We worked in concert with the military. We went out I won't go into detail about the investigative technique. The fire investigators visited the location. They identified the cause and location, and it was a result of a detonation on the live firing range.
The military says it's cooperating with investigators. Thousands of firefighters on land and in air have been mobilized to tackle the fires, which have quickly spread in the hot, dry weather. Wednesday was a very dangerous day because of the high temperatures. Thursday has brought cooler weather, and some residents were able to return, only to find their homes reduced to rubble.
Yes, oh, of course, yeah. We'd rebuilt, yeah. We've lived here for 33 years, and so we've never had our house destroyed before, so I figure if we've got another 33 years, we should be right.
More than 60 fires are still burning, and more than 200 homes have been destroyed. The lonely walk on Afghanistan's front line, with the constant threat of stepping on a homemade bomb. Here at this school near Mazar-e Sharif, NATO troops train Afghan soldiers to defuse bombs or an improvised explosive device. As much of the Western Alliance's personnel is scheduled to withdraw by the end of the year, it is crucial for Afghan security forces who will be left to fight the Taliban alone.
Since Afghanistan has been to war for a couple of decades, there is plenty of unexploded ammunition, mines in this area. And of course, since the last years, we have also seen this new threat of IEDs that are a very high threat here in Afghanistan. So we are now focused on giving students basic knowledge about how to take care of EUDs and of course even the IEDs.
It's dangerous work. IEDs are the single biggest killer in the Afghan conflict.
This is my ambition, that one day there won't be any more threats from IEDs and conflicts in Afghanistan, so that our people can live in a peaceful environment.
But only a few Afghans make the grade. In 5 years, only 600 trainees here attained a basic qualification to dispose of explosive ordnance. Even fewer passed the more advanced qualification for defusing IEDs. And many contractors believe much of the expertise will be lost when Western troops leave, as Afghans trained to defuse bombs return to different units or simply desert.
And TGI Friday, everyone, as we kick things off with Game 1 of the 2013 Korea Series between the Doosan Bears and the Samsung Lions. Now, while the Samsung Lions are going after their third straight championship, the Doosan Bears hope to become the first fourth-place team to win the Korea Series. So with that said, let's take a look at the highlights from Daegu Stadium. Of course, going into the game here, Game 1 stars No Kyung-eun for the Doosan Bears and Yoon Sung-hwan taking a mound for the Samsung Lions. But in the first inning, Park Sung-min a line drive to left field. This one is out of here. A solo shot puts Samsung up 1-0. Next inning, here come the Doosan Bears. Choi Jae-hoon, an RBI single to right center, scores Hong Sung-in, and it's a tie ball game 1-1. Next batter, he's red hot against the Samsung Lions. Son Ji-yeon, RBI single to center, gives the Doosan Bears the 2-1 lead. We're not done yet. This time it's Lee Jong-wook, an RBI single to right field, and the Doosan Bears take a 3-1 lead. Fifth inning of the game, Kim Hyun-soo at batting. He's going to drill this hanging curve, and there it goes. Back. Gone, a solo shot. Makes it 4-1 Doosan. Before this next play, men on second and third. Lee Won-suk sends one deep to center field. A 2-run triple makes it 6-1 Doosan. Moving on to the sixth inning, call him the Lion Tamer. Son Ji-yeon sends one deep to left field. 7-1 Doosan. Meanwhile, the Samsung Lions get one back in the bottom of the ninth inning, but Game 1 belongs to the Doosan Bears. 7-2 is your final score. And with that, moving on to some Thursday night's KBL action. We had two games that took place last night. So let's begin with the Seoul SK Knights taking on the Goyang Orions. Of course, going into the game here, a big first quarter from Kim Dong-wook helps the Orions take a 19-16 lead. But the SK Knights rally back thanks to Park Sang-ho. Gives SK Knights the 35-31 lead after the first half. Third quarter, the Orions keeping it close, get it down to a 2-point game going into the fourth quarter. But Chu Hee-jung's big fourth quarter helped the SK Knights hang on to take this game 67-62 as the SK Knights are now tied for first place in the league. And next up, the Changwon LG Sakers taking on Jeonju KCC Aegis. A big first quarter from Davon Jefferson gives LG the 25-23 lead going into the second quarter. The KCC keeping it tight in the first half as they trail 46-45 going into halftime. Second half of the game, a back and forth game and a huge game from KCC's Tyler Wilkerson once again, putting up 27 points and 17 rebounds. But thanks to Davon Jefferson's 29 points and 7 boards, the LG Sakers hang on to take this game 92-87, your final score. And shifting gears to football, where the first leg of the 2013 AFC Champions League Finals is set to take place tomorrow at the Seoul World Cup Stadium. Now, while FC Seoul is getting further and further away from another league title, they still have a chance at winning the Champions League. Of course, going up against FC Seoul will be the powerhouse of Asian football, Jongsoo Evergrande of China, who are also nicknamed the Manchester City of Asia. However, with Dejan Damjanovic, Molina, and Gaeseong leading the way for FC Seoul, the first leg is a crucial one as they hope to take a commanding lead before heading into the second leg at away. Meanwhile, during the past 5 years, 5 K-League teams have made it to the finals, with FC Seoul hoping to be the 4th champions in 5 years. And now finishing things off at the 2013 National Sports Festival, Marine boy Park Tae-hwan going after his 5th gold medal of the event as Incheon City Hall, hoping to win the 400-meter men's medley relay. Now, even with Park Tae-hwan going fourth with the freestyle swimming, Incheon City Hall falls short and finishes in 3rd place for a bronze medal in the event. And after 5 events, the Marine boy finishes with 4 gold medals and a bronze, giving him the most valuable player honors for the National Sports Festival. Meanwhile, the Olympian hopes to continue his success going into the 2014 Asian Games as fans look forward to the rematch between him and Sun Yang of China. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great weekend, everyone, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
Happy Friday, everyone. I'm Lee Ji-hyun with your latest weather forecast. Well, it's cold outside. We are having chilly start to a day and much cooler weather is expected across the central region today compared to yesterday, as the afternoon highs in Seoul will be only rising to 14 degrees Celsius, making the coolest day of the season so far. But plenty of sunshine will be around as high pressure controls the peninsula, but it's going to be windy, and we are going to notice that wind all day long, so it might feel cooler than the actual numbers, so don't forget to bundle up before heading out. And it looks like the cooler air will stick with us even into the upcoming weekends. More cool weather is coming for Saturday, so afternoon highs for this Saturday will be only topping out in the middle teens, so Saturday is gonna be chillier than today, but Sunday should be slightly warmer. But other than chilly weather, the weather forecast for this weekend is looking great. Lots of sunshine is on tap across the nation throughout the day, so overall we are looking good for all the activities going on this weekend. With that in mind, let's take a look at the readings for today. Morning lows have plunged to 6 degrees Celsius here in the capital, and the afternoon highs in Seoul will only make it to 14 degrees Celsius. That's about 57 degrees in Fahrenheit, while Daegu and Gwangju will soar to upper teens, but Busan should be mild, getting up to 21 degrees Celsius. Now let's see how other regions are looking. Jeju, Daejeon, Dokdo will hit similar daily highs at 16 and 17, but Mount Kumgang will stay on the cooler side at 11. Now that's all for Korea, and here's the global forecast for viewers around the world. That's all for me at this hour. Enjoy your morning commute and hope you have a wonderful Friday.
And that does it for this Friday edition of Daybreak. Thank you for watching.